I'm crashing the party.
As we talk about the importance of reading and give you some of my favorite books, Mrs. GT's favorite books, and some of the favorite books that our kids love to read. Well, yeah, that's right, folks. Mrs. GT is going to be joining us here in just a few moments, but I wanted to kind of jumpstart us here by just talking a little bit about reading. That's what we want to discuss in this particular Gideonstactical episode, and we want to thank you for joining us today, having some fun, hanging out, snowy outside. I was going to do some filming out back, but decided to come in here and make this video instead. And we're going to jump right into it. And throughout this video, we're going to talk a lot about different books, ideas that we have. We're going to have lists for you. So check out those links below over to Amazon. If you are interested, a lot of these books you can get on Kindle and on like reading apps and stuff, but also, you know, hard, you know, textured, hardback, you know, whatever type of books. Cover paperbacks, and I like reading that way. I'll be honest with you. I sometimes will read on my tablets, but I prefer to get, you know, the paper in my hand. The texture is better for your eyes, all that type of stuff. So I actually prefer the paperbacks and hardbacks more than reading on a screen, but maybe you don't care. So check out those links below, as well as to all the other links that we always offer to you guys. Blade HQ, Knock Around Sunglass Company, great sunglasses for the whole family, and backcountry.com. We really appreciate it when you guys use those hyperlinks. So with that, guys, let's just talk a little bit. I want to give you some scientific reasons why you should read, but just talk about why it's of value to me and my family before we invite Mrs. GT in here in just a few moments. But so growing up, it was a high value, and my parents put some restrictions on the amount of video games and computer games and TV that we could watch, and encouraged us to either go outside and play or read books. And so there was only a limited amount of time each day that we were allowed to watch TV or play video games and be in front of screens, you know, limited screen time through particularly grade school and junior high and even into some high school. And at the time, you know, it gets annoying. You know, you're like, I'd rather watch a movie, I'd rather play video games with my friends. But I'm so thankful that they encouraged that and made it an environment to read, because I've read so many books over the years for history. I have a love for history now. I've read so many books for entertainment value and have really seen value in reading books and the cognitive ability, the places that it takes you. You know, books are always deeper than movies. You know, it's cool to watch like Lord of the Rings or something like that, or Gladiator, or, you know, Braveheart, or these epic movies, you know, Saving Private Ryan. But when you read books, that can give you an even deeper level of understanding, of imagery, and you can picture things in your mind and imagination that no director in Hollywood could ever do for you. Is something that's very cool. So we see in the family huge value in it. We want to encourage you guys as our viewers, people who watch on a regular basis, you know, start reading a little bit more. And I have a friend, close friend, Mike, that was with us on our GT cookout. You know, and something that he and his family are trying to do, which I think is very good, is that when they finish, he and his wife, when they finish a Netflix series, because you know, they have Netflix like probably most of you, they'll watch a series, but when they're done with the series, they have to read a book before they start the next series. They have to finish a book, read it, and then they can watch another series. And I think that's a very good thing. So set goals for yourself, whatever yours is. Maybe it's a time limit for you every day that you need to read, or you read something. You know, do what they're doing. You know, something like that I think is very, very valuable for yourself, for your kids. And something that if you build reading into your life and your family's life, I think you're going to see a huge amount of fruit, not only you personally, but also in your kids. So let's go ahead and just share some scientific stuff and just some reasons why it's good to read. Okay, so I pulled this one off of the, you know, just searched reasons why in, you know, medical journals and all this stuff. So here's a list. This is from getunbound.org, so probably unbound from, you know, like technology and stuff. Number one, reading is good for your brain. Blood flows to your brain. And as an example, when you read a novel, it increases blood flow, it improves connectivity, or like, you know, brain synapses firing in your brain. So it's good for your brain. It works your brain more so than just sitting in front of a TV, even playing video games, you know, those type of things. Number two is reading introduces you to new ideas and invites you to solve problems. You know, those type of things. Number three, reading makes you a better writer. So your writing skills, when you're writing an email, when you're writing a love letter to a loved one, you know, a note, it just helps your writing skills put new words in, help you sound smart. you know, whatever it would be. New words will naturally appear in your writing. You won't even really have to think about it. It'll just begin to happen. Number 4, reading improves your conversation skills. You're able to communicate your thoughts better. You're not going like, you know, you're able to communicate better, particularly think of your children. Your children will be able to communicate and have skills of communication better, particularly if you maybe have to present, you know, for your work or school or whatever. Reading strengthens your worldview and convictions, so it helps you solidify your worldview and add to it and go, wow, okay, this is what I believe and this is why I believe it, because of your reading and you doing that. This is a good one, number 6. Reading improves your self-discipline and consistency. So you have to force there are times, you know, where maybe like I have to kind of force myself, like, oh my gosh, I don't really want to read this next chapter, but I know that the end is going to be good. I just feel it. So you muscle through a chapter or two, and then, you know, it starts to get good again, you know, or whatever. That happens a lot in books. So it forces you to be consistent. You know, you're regularly doing something, and to have self-discipline to sit down and read a book when it is of course, it is easier to push the power button, throw in a DVD or Blu-ray, or hit the Netflix episode that you're, you know, currently on. I mean, it's way easier to do that. So that's really good. Reading increases your knowledge of history. Absolutely. Reading increases cultural knowledge without having to necessarily hop on a plane. You know, when books are, right now I'm reading a book, The Day of the Jackal. I've heard it's fantastic. I highly recommend it as like an espionage book, but it all has to do with France. And so just, even though it's a fictional book, having nothing, it's not like a story about France, you know, it's just like it's placed in France. I'm learning things, I'm learning words, I'm trying to learn how to spell and pronounce all these French names more, of these characters, and just getting a picture of France. And I've never been to France. That I don't necessarily have to watch a documentary, or don't have to sit there and spend, I mean, of course going would be nice, but you know, you don't have to necessarily do that. You can get a picture of France just by reading, or whatever you're doing. Reading challenges your imagination, absolutely. You know, video games, movies, whatever they are, they're giving you the picture. So your brain doesn't have to then imagine anything. It's being fed the imagination. When you read, now you're putting the pictures to what you're reading, and you're able to see things in the way that you would see things, which is really cool. Reading will inspire you, absolutely. More books have inspired me to do things than ever a movie has. You know, very few movies have really challenged me, inspired me to do things. I mean, probably the only ones that kind of have inspired me that I can think off the top of my head would be like the Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That's a fantastic movie, and it's based off of a book. So read the book. I'll throw those links below. That's a great movie because it challenges you to be like, what am I doing with my life? And I need to start taking some risks. You know, even if it's small stuff or big stuff. It's made Ashley, Mrs. GT, and I want to go to Iceland. We want to go see Iceland because a part of the movie is there, and it was just so epic. And we're just like, whoa, we got to go to Iceland. So you know, it challenges you. It inspires you when you read more. I mean, like in Saving Private Ryan, maybe like one or two other movies have ever really inspired me. Whereas a lot of books challenge me, make me think about my life. Where am I going? What am I doing? You know, how can I make my life better? How can I make my family's life better? Yeah. So let's see here. Reading reduces stress, absolutely, and reading helps you go to sleep. Your mind, you know, when you're in front of a screen, I will tell you every time. If I sit there and I read 4 chapters in a book, or I watch a Netflix episode, by the time I'm done with the chapters in my book, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm falling asleep, and I'm like, okay, it's time for bed. You know, it's very easy for me to fall asleep. Versus if I sit there and watch an episode of Netflix, I am alert, my eyes are, you know, wide open, and I tend to stay up way later, on average 1 to 2 hours longer if I'm at night, ending my night watching movies or TV versus reading a book. So it'll help you if you're having problems going to sleep. You know, you're like, I'm not getting enough sleep. Over the last couple months, I haven't been. I'm getting like 5 to 6 hours of sleep. And so I've been really amping up my reading at night instead of watching TV, and actually trying during the week to watch way less TV and not go to bed watching TV, meaning like, you know, have it on as the last thing I do. But reading is the last thing I do, and I've been going to bed about an hour or two earlier than I was a couple months ago. So that'll help with your sleep as well. Many other things. Helps against Alzheimer's. They say it's 2.5 times. It removes the likelihood by 2.5 times people who read regularly, solve puzzles, and play chess and those type of things makes your brain work. Less likely to have Alzheimer's later on in life if that's something you regularly do. And there's a lot of other health benefits as well. So reading is fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. So with that, let's go ahead and invite Mrs. GT. All right, so here we are. We got Mrs. GT in the house to join us for this part where we can recommend some different books, both for women, for men, or vice versa. They totally work both ways. And some kids books. So Mrs. GT, Ashley, why don't you go ahead and share with us what's one of your favorite authors, you know, that you have enjoyed over the years and get entertainment as well as value out of?
I really like John Grisham. He has lots of books that are really easy, quick page turners. They're like thriller, mystery, crime, law mysteries, and pretty entertaining to read. I've read The Runaway Jury and The Street Lawyer, but he wrote The Firm, and so he has lots of books.
They made a lot of movies based off of those as well. Okay, sweet. So
Aaron, what are some of your favorite authors?
That's like transition 5, take 5 to try and pitch me over. So I would say for myself, one of my favorite authors is Stephen R. Lawhead. He's written a lot of books, mostly having to do with the history. I mean, they're totally fictional, but the history of Great Britain, Wales. He did a 3-book trilogy on Robin Hood. That's really good. That has a lot of historical backing behind the mythology and behind the stuff. So it's really cool. It's the most realistic types. This one right here is Byzantium. It's about a British monk, you know, in like 800, I think, that gets kidnapped by Vikings and his story. He did the Pendragon Circle series that has to do with King Arthur. That's several books. He's done a couple of different kind of Lord of the Rings feel type of books. So all medieval in its time frame, all mostly revolving around Great Britain and that whole thing. But lots and lots of books that he has given. If I was going to start with one, I would say either Byzantium is a great one. I really enjoyed that because it's just a one book, and then you can decide if you like his style and go deeper, or the Pendragon Circle series. That one I believe is the one about King Arthur, but he's got a lot of them. The only batch of 3 that was a little harder to get started for me was the Robin Hood series. It took about half the book for me to really like start enjoying it. So but I'll have again all those links below for a lot of those books from Stephen Lawhead. So what's another one, either book or series or author that you have enjoyed, babe?
I kind of like reading Jane Austen books, which is
classic.
Funny. To me, they're not real easy to read because the way they talk, they're kind of hard to understand what they're saying in their English. I don't know.
New King James, thou, thee, and them. Thou speaketh.
Just the way they word things, but I mean, for some people it might be fine, but they're kind of funny to read too, just how
there's like humor in it. Yeah,
there's humor. Floydy-toity they are. And I love Pride and Prejudice. I've read lots of her books, so they're kind of fun.
Nice.
So what are some other ones you like, Aaron?
Okay, so these are really easy to read. I've read about half of them, really like them a lot, are the Bill O'Reilly series of like the killing books. I have read Killing Lincoln. I've read that one. That one was pretty good. I have read Killing Patton. That one is phenomenal. I love that one. So if you want to start with one of them and you've never read any of the Killing books, start with Killing Patton. That is a great, not only historical reference just to World War II in general. There's lots of stories in there that I've never read of, or sections of stuff, and then the conspiracy theory that seems very believable and very real, that Patton was taken out. You know, that it wasn't an accident, that collaboration either with U.S. government or Soviet government or something in between. They tried to kill him and killed him. They murdered him. So very interesting stuff. Killing Patton. This one that just came out, Killing the SS. I got this for Christmas. I read it in like 4 days. Very easy page turner. It's a hard read, meaning like emotionally, because it does have to do with the Holocaust, and it is very specific in some of the things that Adolf Eichmann, Martin Bowman, Klaus Barbie, and Joseph Mergel I believe is how you pronounce that one. The stuff that they did, you know, that's the Butcher of Lyon is Klaus Barbie. The Angel of Death, Joseph Mengele, Martin Bowman, you know, the right-hand man to Adolf Hitler, and then Adolf Eichmann killed 500,000 Jews in the course of about a month in, I believe, Hungary. So it's all about, mostly about the Mossad, the Israeli Secret Service, going and hunting these guys down, mostly in South America, and capturing them and bringing them to justice. But lots of other stories in there, not just those 4 guys. Very, very interesting. There's some stuff, female SS concentration camps and female-run concentration camps. So some interesting things I didn't know. I've done a lot of history of World War II. Really like it a lot. But again, it's like an emotionally hard read, so you just have to be kind of prepared for that, because it does have to do with the genocide of trying to, you know, wipe out a whole race. But very, very good. The Bill O'Reilly Killing Series. I can't recommend those books enough. All right, so I know you have one more recommendation, a more kind of like is this like a self-help book kind of?
Sort of, yeah. This is called Present Over Perfect by Shauna Nyquist. She is a Christian author. She has several other books, and I can just really relate to her. It's easy to read. It's kind of, for me, I'm reading it just to have some me time, and just talks about kind of slowing down in life, not choosing to maybe put your family first and your self-care, and slow down, not have to just like push yourself and be perfect all the time, which I can relate to, and it's enjoyable to read too.
Awesome. Okay, and so for the last one for me, this is more, I don't do a lot of like self-help books or like deep like theology, not theology, but you know what I mean, like the history of socialism or the history of capitalism and how it came to be. I mean, that's fine if you enjoy that type of stuff. That's not usually for me. This one, I grabbed it. I can't even remember why I read it, but it was extremely good reference point. It's Are We Rome? It's I can't even pronounce how do you say that guy's name? I'm terrible at names. Cullen Murphy. Done a lot of books. That this one has to do with drawing parallels to the rise and fall of the Roman Empire and the rise of America and our influence, and if we don't change things, how we are repeating what Rome did and will eventually fail and become, you know, non-influential in the world. It's a very easy read. I enjoyed it. It has a lot of history tied into it, so, and I love history, but it also gives you a really good outside perspective of what's going on and how history is starting to repeat itself in America, and if we don't start to change some things, we will become like Rome and become obsolete and, you know, possibly conquered, or conquered from the inside out, you know, basically. So it's just a really good read. I would highly recommend everybody read it. It just gives you some really good food for thought when, you know, you're voting, when you're making decisions on how to raise your family, life choices. It's a really, really good read, so I highly recommend that. All right, so at this time we're going to transition to some kids books. So we talked a little bit about the value and the importance that we believe, and I mean statistics would show, and you know, science and all that, science, that it's really important to read to your children on a regular basis. So we've done that with GT Junior. We're beginning to do that with GT Junior Mark II. You know, he's about 6 months, so he can begin to kind of comprehend and stuff. So it's very good. You could do it as early as, you know, like newborns, but really being proactive, and always been proactive with the kids. So babe, what's one of the first ones that you can recommend that we have really seen value in, and why?
So all of the Richard Scarry books are really great. The boys love them because there's so much going on every page, and it just really helps you if you want to just point to. There's so much to point to and say, what is this? What is this color? What are these characters doing? Which is a good thing to do, to, you know, point at things, because that helps them learn quicker and better. And there's a lot of activity going on every page.
And as a quick heads up, you know, again, this is all about reading, but what's cool is that on YouTube, and I don't know if you can find them on Netflix and Amazon and stuff like that, but there are a bunch of cartoons that were made a while ago that are very good, including like a counting video through Richard Scarry to teach kids how to count 1 through 20. ABCs that are very good for the kids. That GT Junior Mark II, you know, he's like 2.5. That when the reading's not available, like we can't sit down and read to him because we're making breakfast or something like that, and he wants to watch TV, instead of just letting him like have his brain fall out of his head watching some show that's entertaining but has no like value, those will actually give them not only good just values, yes ma'am, yes sir, yes please, open the door, those type of things, but also there's some great like learning videos that are on YouTube for free, and then you might be able to find them on streaming services or purchase them or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So what's some that you like?
So this series is really good. Right now, to our knowledge, there's 3 books. I believe this one's the first one that got totally jacked up by GT Jr. Shocker. But where do fill in the blanks sleep at night? Where do trains sleep at night? Where do planes sleep at night? Where do diggers sleep at night? And so it's a pretty simple book. It's great for like 1 and 2 year olds, up to 3 and 4 probably, but has really nice, good colored pictures in there. Pretty fast reads. So you can knock it out if you don't have a lot of time. You can do it in 5-10 minutes. The Richard Scarry books, can maybe take a little longer sometimes and are a little bit more for maybe like 2 and 3 to 4 year olds and up. But these are just really, really good. Our sons love them particularly just because it's got, diggers and trucks and airplanes, and stuff like that. So they have 3 books in the series. Again, all these will be in the links below, as many as we can get. But, and they're hardcover for the most part too, like cardboard, so they'll last a little bit longer than the paper ones, and they're less likely to rip the pages out, because that will happen with children's books. Mm-hmm. So what's another one?
Curious George. We have the collection of 7 classic books, and they're a little long, but they're really fun. Curious George is just a classic character that all kids love, and he always gets into trouble, but he also learns some things along the way, and our boys like him too. Yeah, it's cool to read stuff. These books were written in like the 40s and 50s, so really cool. Just it's kind of like a little bit of history too as well. And I remember my parents reading them to me when I was a kid. And then finally, one other one that was kind of surprising. We got it and not knowing if he would really like it, and by 2 years old, he loved it. Let's see here. You Are Special by Max Lucado. Max Lucado is like I don't know if you want to call it like a motivational speaker and, motivational author and those type of things. It's a kid's book that has to do with these little wooden people. And they go around and every wooden person has stars and dots. They put stars on people they like. They put dots on people that they don't. And there's one in particular who is getting all the dots, and he's just not a good little wooden person. And then he goes to the woodmaker, and the woodmaker helps him and cleans him off, and shows him how to live his life. And it's just a really good, encouraging book, but also letting children know that they are special, that they're important, that they're valuable, and how to treat others as well. It also teaches them to not make fun, to not be jerks to one another, to love one another, to just those values that you would want to instill in somebody. It's a great book, and also has some biblical principles in there as well, which is really sweet. So Max Lucado, You Are Special is a great book. I mean, you could share that with adults, and it has value for adults as well with this book. So those are just a few. We'll have a ton of books in the links below, as many as we can think of that we've seen value in, not only for the kids but for each of us as well. So again, go check out those Amazon links, and again, thank you for checking out all those other links, guys. We really appreciate it, and thank you guys for coming over here today and checking out the channel. And I'm just glad that you guys have come over here talking about an important topic, but I think also a very entertaining topic that will not only grow your minds but your children's minds, instead of just rotting them out looking at the TV and the screens constantly. So again, check out all those links below, not only to Amazon for the books, but to Blade HQ and Knock Around Sunglass Company and Backcountry. We really appreciate it. Again, when you guys use all those hyperlinks, helps us continue to make content just like this and have fun and share with you guys. So as always, stay equipped, stay prepared. We'll see you out there.